Zoom, and then I'm going to hit record on our Twitch stream.
Can you hear this?
I can.
Okay, so the board does work. Okay.
It is registering. It is registering on the Twitch stream. Okay, we are going live. And we are live. Welcome.
Back.
Welcome, everybody, to this new thing. Thank you, We the North, for joining the nation. This is brand new and unique to all of us. I am the Nation Dan. We've got Tyler Yaremchuk here on video, and Baggedmilk not on video. But
I've got ideas. I'm coming up with that. I ordered like some shit that we're gonna have fun with it as this goes forward. Like nice. We'll figure something weird out here.
Perfect. So we've got a couple people in the room already. And
who
so
they be, Dan?
What's that?
Who they be?
One of them's me.
I said we have a couple people in the room, but I can't actually click on to see who it is right now. But welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for joining in. As I mentioned, this is kind of just new for us. We're trying to leverage using our, oh my goodness, my computer is about to blow up because I'm trying to record too many things.
We're off to an excellent start.
Yeah, Things are going well. So we're just going to kind of have a chat here as we go. Hey, Daredevil Clown, how's it going? That
fun name.
When he became a citizen, that means he subscribed to our account. So welcome to the subscription of Daredevil Clown. Electronic Jordan says Tyler is here. But yeah, so we're gonna hop right into it. We got a couple topics to talk about, and then you guys feel free in the comments to throw things off of the rails as we go. And I'm going to read some stuff. Mike Yag says, "Hi, fellows." We all say, "Hi, Mike." And Official Jensen says, "Who the guy on the right?" I think that's
you.
Me. I'm Dan. Nice to meet you.
This is my first ever time on Twitch. Very fascinating. I don't really know what's going on.
Which is interesting to me, Tyler, because like you're the youngster of the group here, so it's interesting to me that you've never fucked around with Twitch at all.
Young in age, but old in both heart and mind, I think is what people who would listen to the podcast would say about me. People are saying, Dan, you're muted. So until we get that sorted out.
I think we have me figured out now.
Okay, good. Dan is hopefully figured out here. But yeah, no, I've never been on Twitch. This is interesting. I like that people can just like send us messages and we can just cruise through questions and stuff. Like our plan, I think, if we're just kind of doing this as an intro to this every Tuesday, is that we want to do it every Tuesday, 1:00, kind of just like a 30-minute chat about stuff that's going on around the nation and things like that, right? I think that's kind of the point of this.
Yeah, I think so. And like talking about different things that are going on behind the scenes and, you know, looking ahead and behind at podcasts. If you've been around the nation, all three of us do Oilersnation Radio on Fridays. Tyler and I do Real Life on Monday and Thursdays. And I think it would just be kind of interesting to pull the curtain back a little bit and give you a look at how the nation works. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Dan will read those out and we'll get to a bunch of stuff and really whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of fun. And I think we'll mix up the people who are on this as well. You know, get like Jay Wanye, if we can ever convince Chalmers to like do this kind of stuff. Just like keep rolling with different guests on the two podcasts and just kind of cycle through who's here every week and sort of make it. Oh, and that's the other thing too. We need a name for this. We don't have like an official name for what we're going to call this every Tuesday. So we're probably, you know, we're going to need that. So feel free to
hit us up with ideas.
Yeah, hit us up with ideas and all that because we're stumped when it comes to names. We have enough stuff named at the nation that we don't know what else to do.
Here's the reality. Everything at the nation is called Nation something. Nation Real Life Podcast. Mm-hmm. You know, we had Inside the Nation. Then I do Nation Happy Hour sometime on Instagram. So like if you want to go something different for whatever this Tuesday broadcast, whatever we're going to call it, whatever this is, hit us up. I would love to give somebody credit for naming this. That's what I want.
This is also, I kind of like that it's on video too, because like a deeper connection almost. People can see kind of my setup that I usually have for podcasts. I'm eating a thing of sour Skittles, a Tupperware of sour Skittles.
Always eating.
About 5 minutes ago, my girlfriend brought me a coffee, which was very nice of her as well. So I got a coffee.
About having a girlfriend. Go ahead.
Yep. That's the checklist right here. I got the people like this too. I got the board going as well, so we can do all that kind of stuff as well. So, and if you have good ideas for what to put on my buttons, like I have a lot of open slots on the board, we can mix that around too.
I love Tyler's button bar. So if you have suggestions for Tyler, just email them to him, tyler@oilersnation.com. Or again, I've said it a million times, he loves your tasteful nudes. So keep sending those to his email as well.
Yeah.
So I can't talk when you guys are talking or else they hear an echo. So I'm going to be silent. No, I'm just joking. But it is giving an echo. So I'm going to have, like, if you hear me barge in, it's usually just me going to give you guys comments to talk about. But yeah, just a heads up for you there.
Electronic Jordan asked, how's my wreath at my house? And I like that question. I actually ended up hanging it up. I got like a hook with two-sided tape that didn't work. So I just put the hook on and then used sock tape, like hockey sock tape, and like Jen put like 8 strips of it on the door, and the Halloween wreath hung nicely. So now I need a Christmas wreath as well. Nation Dan is great. Up. He's out of here.
See, Dan is already tired of this broadcast. So now Tyler and I can work on our budding bromance together with other people commenting on it. I think
Jensen says Tyler's way louder than everyone else. With the board I have in front of me, I can change that. So again, this is like kind of a new thing we're doing here. So as we move, like the people who are listening to this, and I don't know where to see how many people are listening to this. I think it's like 8, maybe 6. Let us know. You guys are kind of our focus group for all this.
Dan is saying 12. 1, 2.
12 people.
12 people.
Oh,
so
Dan's
I want to try, Tyler. I've got, I didn't have time today. I was on calls right before we started. I've got, I want to try my snowball mic out on this one as well, because that'll probably help, because this is going through Zoom.
Yeah.
And then
if you don't have any background noise, a snowball mic should be like really good.
And it's pretty quiet.
I'm the only
here,
one with the pro mic.
Unless Frank goes nuts. So I'm just using headphones right now. Dan doesn't have his headphones. So this is just like, we're just trying stuff. We're trying things. We're workshopping, but we're workshopping live. This is how things always go with the nation. Sometimes things are good. Sometimes they suck, but we're going to work on it together. And that's why all of you are here, and we appreciate your feedback.
Surveyor Brett's here. He says, hello. What do the little stars mean? Swear on Twitch.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's just.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. We probably should have test ran this a little more.
Well, whatever. This is the test.
Yeah, apparently you can't swear on Twitch. Dan, I think you were telling me that last week when we were kind of talking about doing this. Like, unlike the podcast, I can't sit here and drop F-bombs. Like, Twitch doesn't like that. Will they, like, ban us? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so stars that you see means that they are, that word has been blocked.
Oh, Twitch. Okay. Twitch is like, so basically Twitch is like, we're chatting, but mom is looking over our shoulders.
Yeah. No swear. Mike Yegg 1975 says no swearing, and then there's like 6 stars, and then it says sucks, which I just.
Yeah, I can see exactly what Mike Yegg said, and I can't repeat it because my virgin mouth would be burned.
Koska Memes, who I think I follow on Instagram, says they won't. They won't ban you. People still swear, just in the chat you can't. So that's interesting. Yeah, swearing is fine, which is good for me because unless I'm on the radio, I have a big problem with swearing.
Well, I find that
interesting because you Oilers question here, boys.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Do we like the Cahoon signing?
We talked about this a little bit on Real Life yesterday. If you listen to the Real Life podcast yesterday, it was like 30 minutes of straight nonsense before I could finally reel it back into talking about the Oilers. And I think what me and you talked about this, Baggedmilk, it's really, really hard to hate that signing. Like at $975K, if he comes in and he's terrible, you bury it. So like there's just no issue here. And when you look at the connection with Draisaitl and the fact that last year he actually had decent numbers, he almost scored at a 20-goal pace last season. For $975K, this is a slam dunk of a contract.
Yeah, for me, I think that there's just like this is a very solid low-cost bet by Ken Holland and the Oilers. Gregor tweeted it out yesterday or maybe on Sunday that the Oilers actually offered Cahoon a contract earlier in free agency. He was looking at a little bit more money. Again, Ken Holland, seasoned vet. He just kind of sat and waited. Got him for less than $1 million. So another interesting angle here, Tyler, and I'm curious what you think about it, is that let's say this goes well. Let's say this goes well. Kahun is also an RFA at the end of the season. So this isn't a one and done for him either by any means. So I like the idea a lot. He's going to contribute all his I've got actually an article coming tomorrow morning at Oilersnation.com about Kahun. I looked at all of his goals from last season. The guy can score. And I think that the bulk of those goals, I'm remembering off the top of my head, I'm still working on this piece, but most of his scoring came at 5-on-5. That is an area that the Oilers desperately need help in, and they have for a long time. So I think this offseason, at least to me, Ken Holland has made some smart bets. You know, Tyler Ennis is cheap. I like Kyle Turris. I like Kahun coming in. Puljujarvi should probably help a little bit. So I think that the Oilers are actually having more scoring depth throughout their top 9, which is going to help the likes of McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent-Hopkins not always having to carry the offensive load all the time.
Yeah, I think that's bang on. And I'm working on an article right now, just giving my take on the Kahun thing again. And you look at what, for me, a big reason, the two big reasons why they lost to Chicago were the depth scoring and the goaltending. Ken Holland didn't fix the goaltending, and that's, probably a debate for another day. But when it comes to the depth scoring, Kyle Turris is going to help. Bringing back Puljujarvi, even if you don't think, and a lot of people don't, but if you don't think he's going to end up living up to that 4th overall hype, bringing him back still helps your depth scoring. The Ennis deal, bringing him back, that helps your depth scoring. And even if those guys are playing in the top 6, it just allows you to push everyone down a little bit. And yesterday on the radio, Gregor was chatting with Low Tide. And Gregor even kind of said, why are people so quick to write off James Neal? This is a guy who still would have scored 20 goals last season. That's why we had to give up the 3rd-round pick to Calgary. James Neal's a guy, his foot speed's not great, but he did battle injuries. When he was fully healthy last year, he was a good top 9 winger. And now all of a sudden, you kind of look at that left side, and it's Nuge, it's Kahun, it's Ennis, it's Neal. And it's even Nygaard's going to be slotted in as their 5th left winger. There's depth there. And it's not just random depth pieces you're picking up on the fringe of free agency. It's depth pieces you're getting that have legitimate upside. And I think you can say the same thing on the right side as well. Yamamoto, Puljujarvi, Archibald, who's coming off a good year. Cassian's going to be in that mix as well. Chason is a proven NHLer. It's so many guys who have a bit of upside, and even the floor pieces on either the left or right wing, there's so much depth that you don't need every move you made this offseason to pan out. You need a couple of them to pan out, and you're going to be in a much better spot than you were last year.
For me, I think it's also interesting that the Oilers are going to be going into the upcoming season, whenever that starts. They have a top 12 of NHL forwards for the first time, and I would argue a long time.
Yeah, well, and the thing that the chat is raising, the issue that the chat is raising right now is the penalty kill. That's what's worrisome to some people there. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I just saw that there, Womp, and there was someone else who messaged about Jujar. If Jujar's in the press box, you almost can't afford now to have Jujar in the press box unless you went to a couple of these guys. Maybe part of the conversation when they're recruiting Kyle Turris was, you need to learn how to kill penalties. Focus a ton of time this offseason, watch film, do all that stuff, and learn to kill penalties for us. Because I think with Sheahan out of the lineup, who are your penalty-killing centers? Jujar is going to be relied on heavily, and then it's going to have to be Nugent-Hopkins or Draisaitl. And as much as, there are people who say your star players should not kill penalties, you don't want them getting hurt, you don't want them blocking shots. I'm not that far over on that spectrum. I'm kind of more in the middle, where it's, if they are good penalty killers, you should use them, i.e. Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins. But there's also the part of me that, when you'd watch Pittsburgh Penguins games in 2012, they would kill a penalty, and the next 2 guys over the boards, as soon as that penalty was done, was Malkin and Crosby, and they'd load up a line, because when you think about it, the other team's best players are out there on the power play. So if you can save your stars while you're on the penalty kill and still have a good penalty kill, then it just gives you almost a bit of an advantage coming off that PK, because you get good matchups for your star players because the other team's best defensemen are sitting on the bench.
I do have concerns about the PK. Last year, the penalty kill was so good relative to what it was in the years prior to that it's a concern for me. But I'm hoping that the players they do have, I guess the concern for me is that they're going to have to rely too much on Draisaitl and Nugent-Hopkins to go add even more minutes to what they're already doing. So I hope that some of these depth players can pick it up, or that you have a guy like maybe a Gaetan Haas takes a step forward on the PK, or somebody in your bottom six can kind of take a step forward. I know Jesse Puljujarvi in his reintroduction interview with the Oilers said he wants to kill penalties. I don't know if he's killing penalties over with Karpat, but I like the attitude, and that kind of goes with what Tyler was talking about trying to learn how to do it and trying to make it work, because the PK is very important. They can't go back to the fucking train, or am I allowed to swear? I am. The train wreck that was a couple of years ago. So it desperately needs something to work out there. Good question.
And I think the new coaching staff as well was a big reason why the PK was able to turn it around a little bit. Jensen throws in the chat, says, doesn't matter our power play, or he just said our power play will be 45%, book it. The power play is going to be fascinating for me as well, because that thing was on a historic pace last year. Like the NHL hasn't seen a power play be that productive is the word I'm trying to spit out right now, since like the 80s. It was a great power play. Can they keep that up? Or will Tyson Barrie potentially make them even more dangerous? Because the fact that Barrie's a right shot really, really changes things as well. Like last year, really the only time they could properly utilize Oscar Klefbom's shot from the point, and I feel like I should put properly in like air quotes, was when they could do the Nugent-Hopkins blind backhand pass and Klefbom would step into it. The fact that Klefbom was a lefty, McDavid and Draisaitl are lefties, basically meant you couldn't have a proper one-timer for your shot at the point. Okay, well, now Tyson Barrie's there. He's a righty. I think that completely changes the look of the power play and, in a sense, could make them more dangerous.
I also think that having Tyson Barrie back there, like, you weren't going to go into another year, I don't think, with a realistic expectation that the Oilers' power play was going to be as lights out as it was last year. Teams were going to adapt. They were going to try and figure out ways to calm it down. And I mean, with Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, and McDavid all up front, that's easier said than done. But I think having Tyson Barrie back there, like Tyler said, he's a right-handed shot, but he's also a really offensive guy. Take out what he did last year in Toronto. Tyler's dying.
Oh, and now that we're on video, like, because I eat and I drink so much while we do podcasts, usually there's like twice a podcast where something goes down the wrong pipe and I can just mute my mic and have a coughing fit and I'm good. And like halfway through my coughing fit, I realize that we're on camera. Like, oh shit, that's terrible.
I like this. I like that you're able to see Tyler enjoy his meals. But I think that to finish up the point, I just think that Tyson Barrie is going to add a different flavor to an already successful power play. And if you take away the Babcock portion of his season in Toronto last year, he was starting to put up points again. And he's an offensive guy that can score and that can distribute the puck. Like, I'm just picturing bomb passes from Barrie to McDavid at full speed, and that's going to be a handful for teams to figure out. So I think that there's going to be a different flavor. I don't necessarily expect the Oilers to put up another historic power play as they did last year, but I do expect them to be damn good.
Well, go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say, and the other caveat to that too is that second unit is actually exists now. You know, it's not necessarily a thing where they have to play Leon and Connor for 1:45 every.
Yes, I do.
Every power play. I still think you do that, but it's probably not as necessary as it was last year. So therefore, the guys aren't out in a 6-2 win with getting the 1:45 every power play. So I think that you guys are right. We've kind of shifted the offensive image of this team. Really, the makeup of this team is just absolutely changed.
Womp throws in the chat, says not worried about putting the puck in the net, more worried about keeping the puck out of the net. And I see Brad Stepanko join the chat. Hello, Brad. For me, like, there's not going to be an 82 game season coming up. So when you look at having Koskinen and Smith return, I think a lot of people look at that combo and go, Mikko Koskinen's going to have to be pretty damn good and shoulder a pretty hefty amount of the games for this combo to work next year. If this is a 60-game season, perhaps even a condensed schedule 60-game season, do you guys think that's a good or a bad thing from the Oilers goaltending perspective, in the sense that if it's 60 games, I think Koskinen can probably play 40 to 45 of them and you could be okay. But if it's a condensed schedule, that might mean you need to lean on a second goalie even more. Like, I'm pretty torn on how I feel about a short condensed schedule affecting the Oilers goaltending. I
think for me, there's no opportunity to have was it December last year, or was it November? Whatever month the Oilers fell off the cliff a little bit last season, they turned things around. But there was a month last year where they were just not playing great hockey. And that can't happen in a short season. If you lose 13, 14 games, and it was sub 500 record somewhere in there, there's a lot of pressure this year. Each game matters even more. So I think that Womp is correct in having concerns about keeping the puck out of the net. I mean, I don't think there were many people that were super pumped on having the same goaltending tandem back again. Obviously hoping for the best. I'd love to be wrong. I didn't particularly like it. So yeah, I have concerns about it 1,000%. Yes, the Oilers will be able to score more than they did last year, but they also lost their best defenseman for the long term. Oscar Klefbom played the most minutes in all situations. And they did bring in Tyson Barrie to kind of alleviate that pressure a little bit, but I don't expect Tyson Barrie to be a shutdown D-man at 5-on-5. He never has been. He never will be. He's an offensive guy. So that's a concern for me. I think that guys are going to have to step up. We need Darnell Nurse to take a step forward. We need Ethan Bear to keep going forward. And we need Koskinen to play at the 917 level we need him to do that consistently. And we need, when Mike Smith gets in the net, he can't be a live by the sword, die by the sword guy. He needs to be more consistent than maybe we saw from him last year. We need the Mike Smith that was the 2020 version before the pause, and not the guy who was maybe he
Terrible.
wins you a game, maybe he costs you two. That can't happen, especially not in a short season.
Well, I think that, I truly believe that the Oilers did try to address the goaltending situation. I think that was number one on their list of things to do. It just didn't happen. And so, Ken Holland pivoted to, let's fix the forward situation, give Connor and Leon some guys to play with. We had to shore up, like you said, Baggedmilk, our best defenseman is out and out for the foreseeable future. So they had to go and find a replacement for him. You got the offensive replacement. I don't know if you necessarily got the defensive replacement. So I think it's just kind of, if we had fixed the goaltending situation, we'd be a lot worse off up front. And I think that's, just the reality of the situation that Ken Holland came into. Thanks, Peter Chiarelli. And, it's still a work in progress that, would I like to have seen him go out and get somebody better than Mike Smith? Yes. But I don't think that anybody that, when they signed Smith, it was that much better than Smith. And it wasn't a guy that they knew like they know Smith. We have Coach Tippett who trusts Mike Smith. And so I think that, for the off season, it's the best case scenario for what was available. And we missed out on a goalie market that was huge, but at the same time, we also didn't spend, an arm and a leg to have a Markstrom in our organization for the next 7 years and hope that guy can continue at the same clip that he's been at for, a season or two.
Yeah, Markstrom, people looked at that as, the instant solution down in Calgary. There's a lot of risk with that. Years one, and we've seen it with contracts here before. Years 1, 2, 3, even 4 can be good in that Markstrom deal. But man, if you kill yourself with the last 2 years of a guy's contract, it's hard to, especially between the pipes, it's hard to get out from that. And it's hard to all of a sudden, if Markstrom has to turn into a backup, it's hard to just go find another guy. And then suddenly you're committing $11 million to your goaltending. Kind of the same deal the Oilers would have had if they would have brought in Markstrom now. It would have been man, they're spending $10.5 million on Markstrom and Koskinen for the next couple seasons here.
Yeah, to me, that was too much. The Markstrom thing, I completely got it. But I was starting to get nervous when chatter was coming out early in free agency day that the Oilers were maybe looking to go 7x5 or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So I think Calgary got better between the pipes. I actually, to be honest, I like their goaltending tandem in Markstrom and Riddick, but
it's really good.
I don't know, man. It's hard to. I'll put it this way. When was the last time the Oilers signed a big ticket free agent and had it work out perfectly? It just doesn't happen. So I think Flames fans, they're probably concerned a little bit. Maybe one of these days we'll bring in Ryan Pike onto this show and just kind of talk about what's going on in Calgary. But I think that it's not
Baggedmilk. That sorry, I don't know if I'm cutting off people. I can't hear necessarily very well right now. But to your point too, there with I lost it. No, to to the point of Calgary going out and signing that guy, it fixed something for them, but it left a hole elsewhere. And so, we look at Calgary and it's like, well, that defensive core is, getting older and older and not better. And, and so their forwards, they haven't been able to score with the teams that have eliminated them in the playoffs. So, it's one of those things where I'm not that upset that we don't have Markstrom and that we went out and fixed and plugged a lot of holes in our team otherwise.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the reality is, and Dan alluded to it a little bit earlier, Ken Holland didn't have much space to play with. And, to bring in now with Cahoon, 4 forwards for the top 9, plus Barrie with, next to no money available. I know we're still waiting on the Ethan Bear contract to come through, but he got a lot done with not much space. And I think that the moves that the Oilers did make, if we're going to look at our own backyard as opposed to somebody else's, I think that they're going to be better at 5-on-5. They're going to have more scoring. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I think that's going to ease the pressure on McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent-Hopkins. And that's really important because when the Oilers needed a goal, often they would throw those 3 guys onto the ice. And if the other team shut them down, there wasn't a whole lot coming behind them where you could realistically expect something to go in the net. So I'm feeling better about the 5-on-5 scoring this year. Obviously, we'll see what happens. But I like what he did, considering the space he had.
We just got a suggestion for a show, Tyler. I think you love it. It's called Two Guys That Know Hockey and Tyler.
Hey, man. That's cool. I'm just going to eat my Skittles and chill then.
Somebody was saying that I'm on mute. So, Baggedmilk, you're the only one getting all the love right now.
Well, share the love. I can't see it. Every time I try to log into Twitch on my phone, I get ads playing, and all I hear is a bunch of noise.
Hey, thank you for participating and giving us a couple cents there, Baggedmilk. We've got a question from Brad Stepanko. We're at 26 minutes now, just so everybody knows. But how much space do they have left for Bear, and do they have to make another deal for his contract to be able to fit it in?
I talked to him. Lowtide talked to Hart from Puckpedia today. I was there in the room for the conversation, I guess you could say. But basically, they have, the Clefbaum LTIR thing is going to control everything, right? Because if they know Clefbaum's done for the year, which I have a sneaking suspicion that they do just based on how this offseason has been handled, then the only thing that matters is getting as close as possible to the maximum salary cap for opening day. So they need to be, it's 81.5. The best case scenario would be if they were at 81.5 on opening day, because then they put Clefbaum on LTIR. They get the full $4.1 million in cap relief. And if they know Clefbaum's done for the year, or at least most of the season, then they have some wiggle room throughout the year. They only need to have, on opening day, you need to have whatever it is, 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 2 goalies. And right now they have $600K with a full roster. So you can send down Kyler Yamamoto on a paper transaction. You can put Joachim Nygard on waivers if you're pretty confident no one's going to claim him. You can make things work like that and free up to close to $2 million, I think, and be fine. So that means I think they have around $2 million in cap space to get Ethan Bear done. So I would assume his next contract is going to come in under that.
Tyler, just real quick, if somebody doesn't know and they're watching this later on, what is a paper transaction?
Where you basically send Kyler Yamamoto down to the minors the day, or the night before the season starts, so that you're cap compliant the second the season opens. And Kyler Yamamoto actually never goes to the minors, but because he's on his ELC, you can send him up and down as much as you want without using waivers. So sending him down would just create $900K in cap space, which would allow you to get yourself below and cap compliant on opening day. You put Clefbaum on LTIR as the next move, and then you bring back up Yamamoto, and bang, you're under the cap.
So in theory, you're suggesting he could be hanging out at Earl's Tin Palace enjoying a mocktail while the Oilers are completing this paper transaction, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, just something that came to my mind is, does Mike Smith doesn't have a no move clause, right? There's no protection there on his deal for 1 year, is there? So technically, with that cap space, the Oilers could potentially at the trade deadline go out and find some goaltending help.
You could, absolutely, because you can bury like 1.07 of Smith's deal. The other thing to remember, too, is there's going to be, and Low Tide likes bringing this up, there's going to be a goalie let loose in Arizona. If they want to keep Ranta and Kemper, Aiden Hill has to clear through waivers, and that's a guy who some people might view as an upgrade on Mike Smith. So there is a chance that come the end of training camp, whenever that happens to be, that Aiden Hill gets thrown on waivers and you can scoop up a guy like that. So they have options, and Mike Smith's cap hit isn't crippling by any means.
No, the interesting thing about Mike Smith's cap hit is
no trade, but not a no move, so you can send him down or waive him.
The interesting thing about Mike Smith is just, again, it's feast or famine with that guy. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, there's no way in my mind that I believe Mike Smith doesn't know how much doubt he got with re-signing with the Oilers. And I feel like he's the kind of guy, if I'm trying to look on the bright side of things, I feel like he's the kind of guy that's going to use that as a motivation to come into town in great shape, which I imagine he would anyway, and just really try and provide some steady goaltending. I'm hoping for the best, and I would love to be wrong. And really, it's only up to Mike Smith. He's the one that can control that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing, too, for Smith is that really last year he had a serviceable year, except for he got banged up, and then it seemed like he just kept trying to play through it and was struggling. You know, there was games where he was almost couldn't get out of his crease when he got scored on, kind of thing. But he just seems to not be able to get out of his own way. But hopefully that's not the case this year.
A lot of unknowns. We'll see. Just need to get this season started anyway.
We've hit the 30-minute mark, that magic 30-minute mark. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to say, or anything that is pressing for you guys? Baggedmilk?
Yeah, Tyler, please enjoy your Skittles, but eat them safely. I don't want you choking.
I will.
Perfect.
I would like to say that we tasked the people listening to come up with a name for us, and there was one that was just Yaremchuk slander and not a lot else. So to the however many people are in this stream right now, I think there was 19 at one point. I think we're at 15 now. I'm disappointed in you guys for not coming up with a better name for this. But either way, we'll be back again, I assume, next Tuesday. Lots of Oilers talk. I think we can also use this as we can debate the Oilers all day because we all love doing that. But, talk about other teams, talk about nonsense once in a while as well. That kind of thing.
Maybe even just if you guys have ideas, legitimately, we do want to have your help in naming this thing. So for realsies, put your heads together, maybe think of some names, and also some segments that we can do on this. This is a kind of a new thing. We're workshopping. We're open to new ideas. We're happy to talk about the Oilers, happy to talk about the NHL. I'm happy to take you behind the scenes at the Nation if you're interested in that. We can turn this into whatever, really. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for checking in on the first episode of Name X.
Yeah, I echo that too, Baggedmilk. We got a couple of suggestions that came in: Nation Talk, Nation Nuggets, Twitch and Oilers. But if you guys have any ideas or any suggestions, feel free to send it to us on social media at Oilersnation. Also follow us on Twitter if you'd like to. On Instagram at Nation_ON. Or on Facebook on Oilers Nation. Anti-Macro says he found Tyler's alt account. And on that note, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Feel free to tell your friends about it. We'll see you hopefully next Tuesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And until then, be safe. There.
How do we know when it's over?
We're not live anymore.
I'm just going to not say anything until I see the Twitch stream end.
Just stare deeply into your camera. Just really hard eye contact into the camera, and that's how we'll end it.
That'd actually be really funny if I just did this time. All right, if I started every single one, being like...
just like the old folks with the webcam for the first time kind of thing. Perfect.
Okay, yeah, I think it can be fun, like a 30-minute thing.
Yeah,
we could just make this Oilers. If Jay really wants one of the podcasts going live, I guess we could do Oilers Nation Radio live every week, and I could just